Hello, everyone. My name is Chad Spangler, and welcome to the new and improved Big Shiny Coin podcast. This is the very first episode of a brand new format. Super exciting. All the previous episodes before this have been industry interviews, gaming current events, studio experiences, stuff like that. I'm really proud of those episodes, but I really wanted to talk to you guys instead of at you guys. So from now on, I'll be asking a gaming-related question every week, and I'll share the internet's best answers right here on the podcast. So how can you get your answers on the podcast? Well, there are a lot of ways. We'll be posting weekly on all of our social media, Twitter, at Somber_Don, Instagram, Somber_Don_Studios, and Facebook.com/SomberDon. You can message us on those or look out for the weekly post. You can also email your answers to contact@SomberDonStudios.com. But the best way to get your answers on this podcast is just join the Big Shiny Coin Discord server. You wouldn't believe how many takes I had to get to say Big Shiny Coin Discord correctly. So, appreciate that. Share your answer in the podcast channel there. That's the place I check first and the most often. If you want to join the Big Shiny Coin Discord, just head over to SomberDonStudios.com. There's a big Join the Discord button right at the top of the page. You can't miss it. Now, without further ado, let's get into this week's question and all of your fantastic answers. So, the question is, what game made you a gamer? Not necessarily the first game you played, but what game really grabbed you and made you want to play games for the rest of your life? For me, it was Pokemon Red. I had played other games before it, but something about the combination of collecting, battling, training, and working my way through Kanto made me really want to be a gamer for life. Came out in the US when I was 8, and I could not put my Game Boy down. So, Grant from Facebook agrees with me. Pokemon Blue. I'm gonna excuse you for picking the wrong version, of course. Pokemon Blue was the first game I ever purchased. I scrapped together every dollar I earned as a kid for months to get the Game Boy and the game. I put more hours into it than most games I even play today. It was something I could play at any time by myself and incredibly competitive among all other 8-year-olds in my class at the time. Yeah, I feel like for people my age and Grant's age, Pokemon would be the answer for a lot of people because when we were kids, it was everywhere, man. Like, I never played the Pokemon trading card game, but you bet I collected those cards. I was like a dealer. I was like, yeah, they banned Pokemon cards from our school because it got so bad, or just because they were being stiffs. And somebody, they were like, one more time we see these, and we're gonna ban them, which I don't understand. Of course you're gonna see them if they're not banned. Like, I don't get the rationale. But then one person, like, did something, like sold some cards, and teachers were like, that's it, they're gone. And we kept bringing them. So next answer, Madam's from Reddit. My quote-unquote cool uncle let me and my cousin play Doom on his computer when we were like 6, and I never looked back. Personally, I don't advocate for letting children play video games underage, but I absolutely did, and it made me love games. I played Grand Theft Auto way before I should have, probably. Diablo, like, yeah, very, but I was also watching horror movies at that time, and I did both of those things, and somehow I'm not a violent person. It's almost like video games don't make you violent. Anyway, Mad Dog Mike from Twitter. For me, it was Metal Gear Solid, sitting with my dad and solving all the puzzles and getting so excited during the Sniper Wolf fight. It was our first gaming bonding experience. I really like games that bring you together with friends. I know that 2 games that did that for me in a big way were World of Warcraft and Halo. I remember standing in line for Halo 3, and the second we got it, midnight release, we all went back. There were I think there were 8 of us, and we all went back. Each of us, we split into 2 groups, did 4-player co-op until both of our groups beat Legendary. It was great. We didn't stop. There was no stopping. Mr. Potato Fudge from Reddit had an interesting answer. Battletoads. My uncle gave me and my brother his old SNES. I lived in a pretty cheap family, and that was the first gaming console. Me and my brother would play it all the time. We never actually beat the game. We got into the motorcycle part, but we would always fight and kick each other off the platforms and stuff. So fun messing around with Boss Monster made of balls and the climbable walls. It was the first game that felt like a game to me. Absolutely love it. So Battletoads was a very interesting answer to me, of course, because it kind of got the meme treatment later in life. And so I asked him, I asked Mr. Potato Fudge what he thought of the meme treatment of Battletoads, and he said, honestly, when Battletoads meme came around, I didn't really understand it at all. I was unable to make that connection that the fun game that I played equaled the game that people memed on. It's like owning a dog that people say are violent. That's not my Battletoads. That's not my German Shepherd. Very well said. Very well said. Sarah from Facebook. I love the sci-fi feel of Metroid, and my family and I would take turns against each other. It got me into games of the PvP mode as well. Also, Super Mario Sunshine. I loved finding well-hidden tokens around the first city. Everything from the music, the color scheme, and the hidden areas excited me. Definitely shows in my love for games where not all the content is part of the main story or listed in an achievement roster. That is some magic I feel that is lost with a lot of newer games. Is, you know, if there's an achievement for it, well, you know it's there. Kind of takes the fun out of it. Like there's some ways that games have gotten around it that I've really appreciated. Like they make the achievement like really vague, and you're like, what in the world does that even mean? Like you have no clue. So games get around it. But yeah, there's something about that magic in games that, before achievements were a thing, that just discovering things for yourself that like you weren't told were in the game. So I like that answer. Bad Toad from Discord. Space Invaders was the first computer game I played. It was around 1979 or so. It was unlike anything else out there. Seems simple now, but there were tactics to the game. Like counting the number of shots so you would always get 300 points for the mothership. I like those games where there's like little micro things that you can, count to, kind of optimize. He also said, Quake and Quake 3 were the best online game I ever played. I played in a European Division 3, Quake 3 League, and got into the Wireplay Free-for-All Final one year. That was awesome. Yeah. And Elite was the first sandbox game. It was circa 1984, and I used to get paid to play it on the BBC Micro in the computer store I worked at. I taught people to play the game, and then they bought an expensive computer to play it on. Two things. I mean, being competitive, being very good at a competitive game feels great. I know that I got pretty into. I never really went to many competitions. I did a couple of Guitar Hero and Rock Band competitions because I got stupidly good at that game. And there's a real satisfaction in like just mastering a game like that. Maybe not a lot of people have completely mastered. But I'm far from the best Guitar Hero player in the world. A couple people have completely ruined that dream for me. But yeah, getting paid to play games, working at a store that's awesome. Like part of being a salesman for computers and being part of your sales pitch is showing people how to play a game. That's, sales can be a really frustrating job, but that sounds like it's pretty sweet. Chase from Instagram, definitely Contra for me. Back in elementary school, my aunt was my babysitter. My cousin had an NES, and Contra was the game we would not stop playing, mainly because it felt impossible to beat. Even with the Konami code and those sweet 30 restarts, we would grind and grind until we got killed by the snowplow. Still to this day, one of my favorite memories was 9-year-old Chase with his cousin finally beating the snowplow level, eventually beating the game. That insane challenge, racing each other to steal the spread gun, and that feeling could never be beat. Still a game I love to run through this day, and definitely the game that got me hooked on gaming. Yeah, man, there's something about difficult games that, can really draw you in. I gotta say, there's lines, though. Like, there's a lot of games now that are, trying to be difficult, and that was kind of where we went with our first game. Not like super hardcore, but that's the thing. You gotta make it difficult but doable. You can't make it so difficult that it just smashes your face and then nobody wants to play after like 30 minutes. It's delicate. It's a nice little balance. Storm Dancer from Reddit. I think it was probably Hunt the Wumpus. Not only got me into gaming, but got me into programming. I did a ton of mods to produce different cave shapes and even randomized ones. Yes, I love games that you can mod. I never got into Skyrim because I feel like I would never stop playing Skyrim if I ever started. But one game I remember modding quite a bit was Diablo 2. Like going offline and just doing like custom skins and like the crazy abilities and just stomping around the world for a while, or just going into like, the private servers was really cool. Dreaded Hippie from Discord. The game that made me a gamer was Bounce on Nokia. I mean the old calculator-ish Nokia. It had some cheats. So I would play and type in random numbers, desperately trying to find the cheat. Such a unique first system to get hooked on. Like, I just loved that answer. I'm like, who gets hooked on gaming via Nokia? That is awesome. I love that. Long NL from Reddit. Super Mario World. I got a lot of Super Mario World, actually. When I was really young, I saw a Game Boy Advance SP, maybe just a regular, set up at my local Chase Bank and played it while my mom was doing a transaction. I loved playing games on, like, you know, those systems at Walmart that they had set up, you know, so kids could try out the games or whatever. I would just, like, I remember playing Pikmin on the GameCube on those, like, so much. I was just like, yeah, Mom, I'll be over playing Pikmin. You go do whatever. Boone from Twitter, Myst. It was a game like I never experienced before that introduced me to a new appreciation. I grew up on the NES and Sega. It was primarily platforms and sports games. This game was more different than anything I had ever touched and required you to discover the mystery of the adventure game on your own. The story Cyan Worlds put together still sticks with me to this day. That's something I really love about indie gaming now, is, like, you know, you can really get a unique experience out of indie games. You know, you like, AAA is very focused, you know, they have different genres, but for the most part, they're very focused on, you know, a set of core tenets, but, like, you can find some really unique indie games that are like, oh man, I didn't even think of this as something that should be a game. I love that about indie games. Vampatory from Reddit. Night Lore. I spent so much time on that game. I even mapped it out on a huge piece of paper from a drawing office with my dad's help. I was obsessed with not just getting to the end, but to uncover the whole map, which turned out to be a castle shape, I think. It was the first game I'd ever seen that was 3D, quote-unquote, isometric 2.5D, with some trickery/edge cases I learned about years later. It had some really wonderful puzzles, both logic and skill-based, and it was all set to this metronome of turning from a man into a wolf and back again. That set me on a path to being a gamer and utterly sucked in by certain games, spending countless hours on some. Night Lore, Elite, Jet Set Willy, awesome, SimCity, Powermonger, Railroad Tycoon, Civilization, Hired Guns, Armageddon, K240, and so on. So many amazing games back then, introducing concepts and ideas, even whole genres that you'd never even conceived of, and done with such skill too, to have so few bugs and to do so much with so little. Really impressive. You know, I'm so surrounded by the internet nowadays that I almost forget about the early days of gaming, where you couldn't go to a forum to figure out what was going on. You know, you could buy a Nintendo Power if you wanted, but the fun way was just to sketch everything out yourself and be like, oh, go back here, go over there. Like, there's a little thing over there that I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna come back to that. Like, really loved that back in the day. Caleb from Facebook. Warcraft 3 was the first game I played with any tactical depth, and my first foray into Blizzard's storytelling. Unreal Tournament was the first game I remember looking up a strategy for, gun profiles and map tips. Pokemon was my first real RPG, and Tony Hawk was all the soundtrack. There's a million games that matter, but those four helped me define the pillars of what I'd look for in a good game as I got older. Strategy, depth, story, and music. Yeah, I definitely had different games getting me into different genres of games. You know, I can see how it's, you know, the question was like, which one game did this? But, like, you know, it really is like a collection of games that just, like, really drive you into it. I know that before I played Guitar Hero and Rock Band, what probably got me to pick it up in the first place was Donkey Konga for the GameCube with the bongos. Like, oh my god, that was so fun. And then, like, Guitar Hero and Rock Band came out, and I'm like, wait, I really like guitar music. I can play, like, actual songs in this game instead of just, like, really bad Donkey Konga covers. All right. So, yeah, for sure. Shadow Shane from Reddit. Probably the first game I ever played on the Game Boy Color. A knockoff Super Mario Land, but with Pokemon. You played as Pikachu. It was literally just Super Mario Land, but the player sprite was a Pikachu. I never questioned it, nor did I know Super Mario Land was a thing at the time. Pikachu was just in a desert. Nothing weird about that to my kid brain. That answer made me laugh a lot. I remember playing a Pokemon emulator where you actually played Team Rocket and stole other people's Pokemon. And that was super fun. Rip-off games can be really wonky, but really great. Dark Druid 216 from Discord. Glover. A surreal game that made escorting actually fun. In that game, you have to move a ball from one point to another, and you can change it into any spherical object, like a bowling ball, an iron ball, a gym, or just a normal ball. And the game dealt with that in very creative ways for sure. This answer kind of grabbed me because he said it made escorting fun, and escorting is notoriously unfun in modern games. Like, everybody complains about escort missions and like Assassin's Creed and stuff. So any game that can make escorting feel fun is definitely worth mentioning. Jay from Facebook. When I was real young, my parents got my sister and I a Sega Genesis and Sonic the Hedgehog. I could barely make it past Casino Zone, but my sister could run the whole game through, and I would watch her every time. I would beg her to beat it just so I could watch and listen to the music. Hell, I started taking piano lessons because my mom told me that if I got good, then I could play the Angel Island Zone theme from Sonic and Knuckles. I love games that inspire you to do other things outside of gaming, like games that make people love art and music. Like, those are real gems. And Not Ben Stein from Reddit with the final answer: watching my older brother play Final Fantasy VII on the original PS1. This answer stood out to me not because I know that Final Fantasy VII got so many people into gaming, but same reason the last answer stood out to me. Watching people play was a key of both of those. And that's what I want to make next week's question. What game do you like watching more than playing? So, yeah. That's it for this episode. But if you want to answer that question, what game do you like watching more than playing? As I said, you can go to Twitter at Somber_Don, Instagram Somber_Don_Studios, or Facebook.com/SomberDon. You can also email your answers to contact@SomberDonStudios.com. But the best way, as I said before, is to join the Discord. SomberDonStudios.com. Button is right at the top. You can't miss it. Trying to build an audience that is more than just sales numbers. Like, we are primarily a gaming company. We want to make games, but yeah, we want to have conversations with people in between games. We don't just want to be like, oh, okay, you bought our game, see you next game. Like, we want to hear from you guys, and it helps us make better games. It helps us be more creative. So please join that Discord. Tell us what you think of everything. Yeah, and whatever platform you're listening on right now, if you liked the show, I'd love if you gave it a like, subscribe, follow, whatever the platform you're listening on has. It really does make a big difference in getting the show seen by other people so they can enjoy it. So thanks for listening. I will see you next week. Bye.